The presidency is urging big business not to cut jobs. This comes as the government promises an energy turnaround strategy to boost economic activity. We're now joined by Rudi Dicks, Head of Project Management in the presidency, that has made this call. Rudi, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Perhaps just remind our viewers what you are essentially responding to. What has big business said when it comes to laying off jobs and why?
Thanks so much. Well, firstly, I think there are two particular crises that we're trying to address fundamentally. Both of them are impacting on economic activity, and largely, of course, is the energy crisis and the work that we're doing and what has been announced by the President in July 2022, which is the Energy Action Plan and the implementation thereof. Of course, energy is one of the biggest constraints on economic growth and economic activity. And we all know that, whether it's large or small businesses. The second constraint, of course, is logistics, freight logistics. And of course, the inability for us to be able to get our goods from port to port and to be able to export. Of course, exports play an important and vital part of economic activity. So these two areas are specific interventions that we've developed to try and address those particular supply side constraints. Energy one, freight logistics another. The point that I made was that both of these interventions, we are cooperating and working together with business in trying to address fundamentally some of those issues and challenges as a matter of urgency, including turning around challenges that we have in ports and rail, including ensuring that we reduce the stages of load shedding and ensure that we end load shedding at some point or another, and this is going to be important.
Okay.
All that we are asking for is certain that at least if you have a sense of a plan that's there, timeframes that are there, the urgency that is required, we need to try and ensure that we protect jobs, protect economic activity that we have.
So, Rudi, essentially what we're hearing from you is that big business is saying it will lay off jobs as a result of the energy crisis and the logistic crisis. Rudi Dicks, are you still there?
Let's be very clear, it's not entire business. I think some industries... Yeah, I am still here. Can you hear me?
Yes, please continue.
What I was saying is that I don't think it's the entire business, big business that's falling or that's indicating that they're wanting to retrench or lay off workers. I think there are few players in the market, particularly the mining sector. In the instance, for example, Sibania, Asametal, for example, there are others who have indicated and have said to us that they are under pressure. So I don't think it's a general statement. I don't think it's generally the case for everybody. I think there's a lot of pressure, particularly on miners who have to get the product to market and getting it to their customers. Are going to be quite important. So I think it's important not to create panic. I don't think that's the case.
Rudy, I'm so sorry. I do beg your pardon.
Interventions that are required, and we ensure that we invest those as soon as possible so we can see some turnaround and then specifically try and avoid at any cost. That's important at the end of the day.
I know load shedding is suspended, but the connection is not so great, Rudi, and we are struggling to hear some of the information, and it's quite important. So we're just going to give it one more try. And so if we take a look at the MOU that has been set up between the Electricity Minister and the Public Enterprises Minister, on the Electricity Minister, when you speak of the plan and you tell big business that you've got plan, or you tell industry that you have plans in place, the MOU outlines that one of his roles and responsibilities includes exercising authority over the ESCOM board and management on ending load shedding and ensuring that the Energy Action Plan is implemented without delay. It reads, focus full time on all aspects of the electricity crisis and the work of the National Energy Crisis Committee, which is comprised of over 100 experts, just this committee. And so when you speak of these plans, are you at least able to give us a sense of where you are in the plans?
Well, there's a lot of interventions that we've done. Of course, as it is, you've seen it in the Energy Action Plan. what has been announced. The Minister had a press conference earlier today to give us a sense of the implementation of the Energy Action Plan, including outlining those roles and responsibilities, which is quite clear. We've done a lot of work around ensuring, for example, private sector generation has taken place. We've made a lot of progress around ensuring that we reduce the red tape for that. We're also working towards ensuring that we get the procurement programs out, interventions around specifically supporting rooftop PV, for instance. Restructuring of the electricity sector is quite important. But more importantly, the work that we're doing and the Minister has been doing is trying to ensure that we turn around and seeing improvement in the coal fleet, in the Eskom generation fleet, and that's quite critical to try and see that improvement. What we have seen in the last few months is that, for example, Kusile, units 1, 2, and 3 have been brought back on. The Kusile 5 has been synchronized. Of course, commercial operation date will take place later in this quarter, and that's going to be quite important. So a lot of progress that is there. You will see our ability to be able to reduce load shedding. That is a matter that is the biggest priority for us, to be able to reduce the levels of load shedding and eventually end load shedding. And this is the kind of work that we've done. So the allocations of those tasks and responsibilities, as indicated earlier today by the Minister of Electricity, is quite important to be able to ensure that roles and responsibilities are clear and that we're able to implement the plan, the Energy Action Plan that was announced by the President in July 2022 is fully implemented. We made significant progress on that.
We are speaking to a number of analysts on the channel, and some of them will tell you that the rebates program, when it comes to solar panels, you're not seeing as much uptake as you would have liked to see. Can you confirm that for us, and to your understanding, why not?
No, I don't think that's correct. I think there's been quite a bit of uptake. We've been tracking, behind the meter PV rooftop, for example. We have data that shows the amount of PV rooftops that have been invested in. Between July 2022 and July 2023, we've seen the doubling of PV rooftop from about 2,200 to 4,400. Now, it's not significant, but doubling of investments in PV rooftop is quite an important progress, and that's largely because of the rebates. I mean, of course, one could add additional forms of rebates and extend it to batteries, for example, and others, but that's a conversation and a decision that the National Treasury would make at the end of the day. But we've seen a significant uptick in that, 50% up, significant doubling of it from 2022 to 2023 is a significant progress in regard to that. Similarly, with private embedded generation, that's now on the other side of the meter, where we've seen utility scale investments. We've seen massive uptake, both with the registrations that we've seen with NERSA, and of course many of the applications to get grid access at Eskom shows the data that we've seen, a lot of private sector companies taking up the opportunity that is there to make it much more easier to get, private embedded generation through the registration process and not licensing process. These are important interventions that we've done during the course of last year, and we'll continue to implement it during the course of this year.
Okay. When we take a look at logistics and freight, what's happening at the Durban and Cape Town ports? Is the backlog cleared?
Not entirely, but I think they're working quite hard in ensuring that it is being reduced. You'd have to get specific information and speak to the transit people, but we're just tracking it. We've been able to see a significant amount of interventions that have been able to see some progress in reducing the backlog at both of those ports.
I do wonder if the presidency has been able to formulate an opinion about what is happening in terms of the rerouting of ships from the Red Sea to come all the way around to the Cape of Good Hope. We speak to a number of analysts. Again, they tell you that given that we have our own backlogs, it's a missed opportunity when these ships then reroute. They cannot use our ports. Namibia is ready. Mauritius is ready. Mozambique is ready in spite of the instability. And so, to your knowledge, what is South Africa's blue economy strategy or marine strategy that will allow us to take advantage of such opportunities when they present themselves? Who knows how long this is going to go on for?
No, absolutely. I think your point is right. I don't have to comment on it. I think there are opportunities, unfortunate opportunities, but they present ourselves. And so, of course, if there are more container ships and other vessels who are passing our ports, we need to create that opportunity and being able to lure them into our ports. And that's why the importance of Cabinet adopting the freight logistics roadmap is part of that strategy to ensure that we do turn around our freight logistics system, make it much more competitive, allow for private sector investment in the operational parts of it, ensuring that we're able to attract massive forms of capital growth, and allow for us to be able to get access to both freight and rail. Now, these are important interventions. These are going to be critical for us to be able to turn around. But your point early on is precisely that. What we need to do is try and ensure that we deal with some of the more immediate measures. And that turnaround plan that has been presented by Transnet is quite important. It's fully aligned to the freight logistics roadmap. The freight logistics roadmap need to look at these kinds of opportunities that are there. Otherwise, it bypasses us. I think your point is spot on.
You've had a message for business or industry. What is your message to South Africans on the energy front and on the logistics front as we begin the year?
I think most importantly is that we do have a plan. We stay the course. We have to work collectively and work in a manner that is a partnership, I think, with many of the business colleagues, with the labor colleagues as well. We need to address fundamentally these challenges that are there. And for me, I think 2024 should be a year where we see those fundamental changes happening. Work with us, partner. Let's try and work collectively in addressing some of these challenges and grow South Africa.
Rudi Dicks is the head of project management in the presidency. Thank you very much, Rudi, for your time this afternoon.